All right, what is up? We are back. Third time this week. 7 days. There's not enough caffeine in the world for Jack Bauer, who stayed up late. All y'all Americans went to bed. Not Jack.
2:15 a.m.
When you're awake watching a race at 1 a.m., what are you doing to keep yourself awake? You got you sipping on water. We got snacks.
It's not that bad, honestly. Like that, you know how you were on like your cocaine bender last episode. Like I was just watching. I was just watching the race, and that kept me energetic, and wasn't feeling tired. I normally go to bed like 12:30 or 1.
I was gonna say you're also a night person, so this sort of makes sense.
Yeah, I start work at like 9:15, so I sleep in later than most people. So it's really not a big deal to stay up an extra hour.
That no kid life. I am going to throw this out there. My internet is trash today, so hopefully the audio continues to come through. But if I get frozen, it is what it is. But we are live on the YouTubes with the statistician himself, Jack Bauer, and Michelle, fresh off a little threshold workout, Threshold Fridays, Michelle?
Yes, thank you for pushing this back a little bit, because I was like, oh, wait, I need to do this like now. Otherwise, it's not happening.
I'm going to be doing that same workout later tonight.
So that's a Rich Ryan special.
It is. It was actually shorter than I expected it to be today, so it was a nice surprise. This was like 40 minutes of work today. So, Jack, it's definitely one to look forward to, I would say.
Compared to the one a few days ago?
I'll compared to stations and nothing that we're used to. So,
So was it a minute rest after each 1,000?
45 seconds, actually, which is shorter than we typically do. So I was a little concerned about that, but got it done.
Michelle was on it. You know why she was on it? Because she's the fastest RMR athlete on the jersey. Sure.
Yep.
All right, gang. We're here to talk about High Rocks Melbourne. Jack, have you totaled up the point set? Do you just want to get it out of the way? It's either you or Michelle.
I already figured it out, but Jack can let us know the details.
I will. Okay, coming in. Let's just. Matt, his best finisher was 5th. His second best finisher was 10th. It
was not good.
I'm just saying, whatever your strategy was, whatever your, I think
might be not just your worst draft of all time.
This might have been the worst draft of all time. Matt with
scoring
places of 5, 10, 11, 12, and 12, not counting his 13 and 14. Last place, 50 points. Did not win.
Yep.
Michelle got 28 points. We're not going to go over who did what, because that's what this episode's about. Bracken 25, and I murdered you guys with 18. My worst placement was 8.
I would just like to point out that really the only pick that you all disagreed with me on was the John Wynn over Tim Vinish pick, which, you know what? Fine. But all I'm saying is, had I made that pick, it actually doesn't improve. I'm still 4th place. So I just want to let the record show that the controversial pick is not even the pick that cost me. I got cooked.
It's the name of the game. Honestly, it's unpredictable every time.
It is unpredictable. Yeah. But you know what, Michelle? You were right to tell me to go with my heart, because Sinead was the pick.
She crushed it.
You
know, we've all been there with bad drafts. You just happen to be there a lot more often.
Yeah, you know, I've tried making the obvious picks. That doesn't work. I've tried making the non-obvious picks. That doesn't work. Every time I take a newcomer, doesn't work for me. So you know what? It is what it is. You know,
do you want to know what I want you to do next time? I want 30 names in there, random number generator. You pick whoever that is. Let's just see if that improves your chances next time.
Honestly, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I've gone back and looked at my historical drafts, and I've tried different strategies, and it just doesn't work. And I think that to Michelle's point, is because of how unpredictable these races are. So let's get into the first one. We'll just go in order of how they occurred. So we had
Can I just interrupt real quick? You want to know how I picked?
Yeah.
I was ranking people off of Jack's butt. the adjusted times, and look what
Interesting.
happened. So I think there's something to it. Just saying.
Well, you have the most familiarity with your butt. So that would make sense that I would also rely on my own butt. All right, let's go through your women. In the first place, the Aussie Joanna Wetrick takes it home with a 58.07. Second place, Lauren Weeks with a 58.48. Lucy Proctor with a 60.02. Jess Petro, the Aussie, 60.24. Sinead Bent, 60.31. We're going to go beyond top five since this is an elite race. Kat Parnell, sixth place with a 60.35. Ellie Stenfor, 61.30. Linda Meyer, the reigning world champion, 61.34. Gabrielle Nakora Baker, 62.05. Melanie Marr, 62.56. Manuela Garcia Caparo, 63.19. Seika Arning, 63.47. Tanya Strohschneider, 63.58. And Zara Pirgiani with a 64.24. We had one D and F. So I think we have to start with, I mean, we don't have a choice. We have to start with Joanna. Who wants to kick us off? We got thoughts on Joanna?
I think Bracken was right.
Yeah. And yeah, clearly it was the right choice. Well, one, because she won the first major and she's been on a great trajectory so far, but also this is her hometown race. So she delivered on all fronts and it was really exciting. It was a great battle between her and Lauren for pretty much the entire race, which I feel like I feel like we can say for them, the past few races that they've had, they've kind of been neck and neck. So it makes it much more fun to watch. It was definitely, it didn't feel like a given. It was kind of back and forth the whole time. So I'm sure it felt like a really, satisfying win to pull it off in her hometown.
It's 3 straight that Joanna has had Lauren's number. This is it's not just a fluke anymore.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, if you go back to Hong Kong, so that would include Glasgow, where Lauren set the world record, and Vegas, and then Hong Kong. So that'd be 6 races. Joanna has beaten Lauren in 4 out of the 6 races. The only races that Lauren got her were Vegas and Glasgow. So my first question, that is going back to Hong Kong. That's the last 12 months. In the last 12 months, Joanna has won or beaten Lauren head to head 4 out of 6 times. Has Joanna ascended to number 1 in the women's field?
I mean, it certainly seems like it, but I feel like it's difficult to say without every single person in the fields. Like we're only halfway through with the majors so far this year, right? So I feel like it's hard to say.
Well, hold on. We can't include Meg. We can't include Meg until she races. I'm going to hold you all to your own standards until we see her in these races. I understand that she exists, but I'm just saying right now, is Joanna, and this is how power rankings work, is she the person to beat?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
She's proven
Jack,
it.
you agree?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, who's beating her? No one recently. Linda she won world championship. That was her best race, but she really hasn't been there in contention this year since Chicago. And Lauren's consistently losing by 40, 50 seconds at these majors recently. So I think it's pretty clear at this point that Joanna is the woman to beat.
Yeah, I mean, it would be hard to argue it. It seems like Lauren's strategy was to take it out hot, which is always her strategy. But and it's hard to say, right? Because like we don't know. I mean, I guess we can look at the numbers, but if
I was going to say, I looked at the splits for the run. Lauren, I think, was about 40 seconds faster than Joanna, but Joanna's making up a lot of time on the stations.
Only a couple stations.
Yeah, like a few different ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess the question always is, it's such a fine line, right? Of like, it's such a fine line of do you hold back a little bit on the runs to be able to save something for the stations, vice versa. They're on a razor's edge while they're doing this. And yeah, I will also say, just like for what it's worth, they both had already qualified.
Mhm.
They both really have nothing to lose. They could be testing. Lauren could have been testing a strategy. We don't know. And I wouldn't expect them to tell us either. But if you just look at the pace that they went out in, Lauren came into the ski a couple seconds ahead of Joanna. They were about 10 seconds ahead of Sinead, who was in third. Lauren actually outskied Joanna. And then she really accelerated into that push. She actually came in 8 seconds ahead of Joanna into the push. Joanna actually ate up that 8 seconds and put a 6-second gap on Lauren. Extended that lead by 2 seconds into the pull, and then put another 12 seconds on the pull. Lauren clawed back 8 seconds on the run, then came out even with Joanna on the burpees. So Lauren made a big move on the burpees. They came into the row, and Lauren actually came in 12 seconds ahead. And then she kept that lead. And honestly, after Farmer Carry, that run, Lauren put more time into Joanna. I kind of thought this might be it. Lauren came into lunges 12 seconds ahead of Joanna, but left 13 seconds after her. And then, I actually thought that it looked like Lauren's. The one thing I will be curious about, I'd be interested to hear Lauren's perspective on what happened at the end. Again, I don't know if they'll talk about it or not. It looked like she was getting no repped. I'm not really sure what for. I also just want to be very clear. It's really easy to be an armchair quarterback and make an assumption about what the no reps are for. But Till actually I'm going to give Till credit where credit's due after roasting him. Till made a good point on the broadcast. It just depends on what angle you're looking at. And we can't say with 100% certainty if something's a no rep or not. But she was collecting some no reps, and then there was that one that she kind of like awkwardly caught it and looked back, I think, to try to understand like what the no rep was. And then she took a break, and it felt like that maybe kind of messed up her flow a little bit, because at one point she was running Joanna down. Like, she got pretty close. I think she was within 4 wall balls at one point. And then after the communication, I'm not going to use the phrase give up, because Lauren did not give up. But I think when it became obvious that she had more than a minute on third and Joanna was putting distance between her because of the no reps, Lauren just took a second to like reset. So I think if the race was much closer than the end time indicates. The end time shows 41 seconds, but it was a much closer race than that.
She saved herself for doubles.
No,
at that
sure.
point. That's what it looked like, where she was like, I can't catch her. We're both in the 70s. I'm a few reps behind. I'm getting no repped. It just seemed like she's like, well, live the fight another day. I've got a race tomorrow. Might as well be available for that. And I added up your splits right there. 26 seconds between the time when Lauren touched the sled slightly before Joanna, and by the time that Joanna ended up leaving sled pull. And she ended up losing by 41 seconds. And we just talked about how wall balls is kind of a little deceiving right there. The whole race comes down to sled push, sled pull for Lauren, in my opinion, because she's shown time after time she can go unbroken. She's not going to typically lose 27 seconds on wall balls. So it all came down to those two. And I know that lunges wasn't her best station either, but she's got to fix those two if she wants to be the Lauren of old.
Yeah, I mean, 241 push, 332 pull. I'm guessing that 332 is probably right in line. That 241 is about what she did in Hamburg. I think it was like 245, because I think we talked about this on the show on Tuesday. Her push in Chicago was 220, so it's about 20 seconds slower there. Actually, I can look and see what her averages are. So her average push is 2:47. So she was 6 seconds ahead there. And her average pull, I think again, this is skewed because of that one really tough pull that she had. It shows that her average is 4:08. So, but when you go back and you look at Joanna and her splits, 2:28, so 13 seconds faster, and then 3:20. So to your point, Jack, I mean, it's just she's keeping Lauren within striking distance on the runs. So Lauren's not able to shake her on the runs, and then she's slightly overperforming her in the sleds. But I think that, this is what we want. We don't want there. I don't. Well, at least I don't want there to be a dominant force. I think it's more exciting when the race is, it's anyone's game. But to Patrick Thorpe's point, I think we're kind of at the point where it's no longer. I would never not pick Lauren, but I wouldn't say that I'd put her name on the check.
I mean, I think this that comment is, like her strategy, it seems like has been like to accelerate on the runs. She's been dominant there. But yeah, I think it's interesting to think like if she does give a little bit, would that help with some of the stations that she's 10 or 15 seconds behind on? It's hard because if you're doing so much better on the runs and you're making that up, that's just a different strategy and a different way of racing this race. But it definitely seemed like she lost a little steam for the lunges and the wall balls. We've never seen a wall ball like that from her. So I don't think that went according to plan. So yeah, it would be interesting to hear what was good and what was bad about that race from her perspective.
Yeah, she outran Joanna by 36 seconds. So she, running is not the issue.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe that was the strategy. I mean, we've talked before about how sleds are something that Lauren is struggled with. And so maybe the thought is I've got to put the time in on the runs because I might give some of this back.
Well, it's like the same thing when you're running into wall balls. Anybody who knows that they don't have a stronger cadence than someone else, they want to accelerate on the runs. So if she understands that some of the stations are a little bit farther behind than Joanna, then running it out the entire race, that's definitely a strategy that plays in her favor because she can be 36 seconds faster than her.
Yeah, and let's not forget, from the gun, it was just the two of them. Nobody even wanted part of their pace. So we're picking at Lauren running a 58 something to finish second place in a major. We're just trying to figure out what it takes to get back to the winner's spot on the podium like we've typically been accustomed to. But in reality, her running is clearly what's separating her from 13 other women in this race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the thing about the one thing that I believe is the moment that you say that Lauren has, not that anyone has ever said that on the show, but the moment that you think that she's done, she's just gonna come right back and prove us all wrong, which I feel very confident in. So and who knows? She's only been over there for a few days, maybe a week or less than a week. I don't care what anyone says. That's a tough transition. So we'll see. Phoenix will be interesting. I would imagine that Joanna is coming over. So, we'll get to see them race again here in a couple months. And then Meg's going to be there too. And for that, I cannot wait. Watching Meg versus Lauren versus Joanna, that is going to be must-see TV.
Don't forget about Vivian. She got second place, first major.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. soil.
I haven't forgotten.
I just wanted to make sure she got mentioned. So yeah, hometown win, Joanna. I don't know if she is from Melbourne, but Australia, that was, the race that mattered to her. She delivered. I'm sure that this is probably one of the best moments of her athletic career.
I mean, it was the post race interview was awesome. You could just tell how much it meant to Joanna. And I mean, again, like we talked about this in the draft, but where do you find a hole or weakness in her game? I don't see one. 32:57 run time. Everybody, I went back and looked at some of the other strong. I'm looking at some of the other strong runners in the field right now, like Lucy Proctor, great runner. Run total 34:24. Sinead Bent, known for her running ability, 34:12. You go and look at, Melanie Maurer, 34:14. I mean, she's outrunning the other top runners by a minute and a half, and it's kind of hard to tell because the way that it takes High Rocks a little bit to update these, but I'm going to guess that Joanna was, probably had the best station total or close to it. So when you're right there with the best runners and you've got some of the best station times.
The only thing that's really going to get someone at that level is if you're not running your own race. And anytime that we see Joanna, she's running her own race. So when you have competition that's pushing you just that little bit further than what you are normally capable of, that could make or break, you coming back or missing out on 10 seconds because you needed a rest. So that's why it's going to be really, really interesting when Meg comes into town and she's also running 58s, just like Joanna and Lauren have. Like when you have more competition pushing you to your absolute limit, that's what's the make or break in this situation. When you're running your time trial race, you know what you're capable of. So it makes sense. Joanna seems super relaxed out there. So when you have that level of competition pushing you past that uncomfortable level, then you're gonna start to see some wear and tear.
And she's pretty much.
Yeah.
I think that Joanna
Good.
is also like, based on her 4-2 head-to-head record recently against Lauren, she's like, I'm better at her at this. I'm better at her at this. So as long as I'm within striking distance on the lunges or once I enter sled pull, I'm gonna come out ahead of her. And this is just more intel that she has for future races. I think that she's kind of figuring out like the winning formula at this point.
100%.
It's interesting that you noted that because I also noticed, and not to skip ahead here, but Hunter coming into the wall balls seemed to make the same calculus. If he felt confident going into the wall balls that like I can actually run Tim down, so I don't need to make a move here. I'm perfectly fine to sit on his shoulder and conserve a little bit because I know that I can get there in the end. And you're right, Joanna. I remember in that second run, it was almost like she made a choice. Like you could kind of see her thinking about it. Like, okay, Lauren took off and Joanna like started to go, but then it's almost like she was like, I don't need to do that, right? Because I know what stations are coming up. Like that's a trap. And I think what I'm so excited about for this sport is they've got enough experience now that like they're making better decisions in race of like, okay, I'm not going to get pulled into that game. Let's see where we're at in 2 to 3 runs, right? I'm not going to overextend because I might wind up blowing up. I can make this back. Like we're watching like real racing. The other thing that I'm surprised that no one has mentioned yet, Joanna seems to have changed her running form.
Yeah. Her arms were like almost punching her in the face.
Yeah, I've never seen. You all have higher level running backgrounds than I do. You ever had a coach tell you to try that?
Well, in marathoning, I feel like they all run like super close because it's more efficient. So I don't know if I mean, Joanna's super tall, so I don't know if that's more efficient for her. But I have not seen that form before.
I feel like the Kenyans
I tried
do that
to do it earlier.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel great.
I think the Kenyans do that because they don't have enough muscle in their biceps to do. So like they're just kind of close, but she's ripped, so
Yeah.
it's not the same reason.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
Awesome race.
Yeah.
Awesome race between the two of them, and honestly, just like so thankful to be a fan right now and get to witness this. And I know 2 things to be true. Joanna's not going anywhere as long as she wants to be in this. And I wouldn't count out Lauren Weeks. So,
So you just said Joanna's not going anywhere. She's young, early 20s. There was another early 20s athlete who just showed up 2 seconds away from breaking an hour, clinching that spot at World Championship. How impressed were you with Lucy Proctor?
I mean, yeah, that was an awesome performance from her. I mean, well, because Joanna and Lauren already have their spots, we have 3 qualifying spots that are different this time. So, yeah, really amazing performance from Lucy.
Credit where credit's due. Anthony Parasini said on this show and on his own show that the women's podium 100% will be some combination of Joanna, Lauren, and Lucy Proctor. And he was right. And I will always admit when I was wrong. Anthony was right. Shout out, coach. You nailed it. Yeah, great race by Lucy. Talk about someone who just knows herself. She is not the tallest athlete in the field. She might be the opposite of the tallest athlete in the field. And
Never
also,
worked for
Lucy,
that.
there's no shot. There's also no shot that you listen to this, Lucy. But if you do, happy birthday. Incredible race.
Awesome.
Yeah, incredible race. She came out of she always does this. She came out of ski last. But she just doesn't let that affect her. She came into sled push 10th down 55 seconds. Made a decent move, came out only 38 seconds back, came into the pole in 7th, left the pole in 5th, came into the burpees in 5th, burpeed her way up, came out in 3rd place, and then stayed there all the way through lunges and wall balls and held on. And you just want to talk about executing a fantastic race. It was awesome to see. We've talked a lot about how she is the future. Her and Sinead had that great doubles performance at Worlds. We'd expect to see them back and contending this year. And she had a little bit of a tough start to the year, but she's a problem.
I mean, this is another athlete that really races her own race, intentionally doing her thing. She knows that the ski is not her strongest, but she's confident in her ability to continue to rise as the race goes on, and she proved it again today. And she got on the podium and was the first one to claim the world spot. So really impressive.
Definitely, I totally
She's
agree with
22.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
22.
totally agree with running your own race. She knows, hey, it's not worth spending 2 extra seconds to go a couple seconds faster per 500 on the ski. I'm just gonna gradually move up, solid runner, and then strike when it kind of matters on your strength in a zone where a lot of positions can change. Burpee broad jumps. She's a shorter athlete. She can
Takes
get
up
through
like
that.
30 seconds there.
She went plus 57 to plus 27 relative to the front. So literally a 30-second swing right there on that one zone. More people should race like that. Pick your moments.
It's hard to have that confidence. It is. And so like more props to her for just trusting in herself, because that's hard to do, especially at the top level.
She has done, ever since breaking into the elite field, she has done so well. She got 5th at her debut elite race in Vegas. She got 6th in Glasgow. She got 5th at World Championships. She did not have the race that she wanted in Hamburg. She finished 7th. But she's back with a 3. I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but I don't know how we keep her out of the top 5 when we do power rankings. I mean, I think she's a top 5 athlete in the sport.
Very consistent so far.
Yeah, I mean, even if you add, you think about who wasn't there today, out of the people who didn't race today that I think might be above her right now, Vivian and Meg. Right? I think she's got
Pretty
a
much it at
strong
the
case
moment.
that she is Yeah, I think she's got a strong case to be the, fifth, best athlete and on her day, third or fourth, in the field. Very, very solid performance. Other thoughts on Lucy?
Excited to see her again. It's a great performance.
She can travel also, so that's a good thing for later in the season.
And she's doing doubles with Sinead, right? Like they got one more. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then in the fourth place position, Jess Petro, someone who we have said is waiting to ascend, and ascend she did on home soil. This is her best finish in an elite race. This is her first top 5 finish in an elite race. She finished 4th and honestly ran a very gutsy race and kind of ran, I don't want to say from the back, but she definitely ran from mid pack. She was, let's see, where was she at? After sled push, she was 8th. And then she kind of sat in that 8 to 7 spot through burpees, through row. She came out of farmer's carry only 2 seconds ahead of Seika. And I believe Seika got pulled back, if I remember correctly.
Well, she was also 24 seconds out of world position exiting farmer's carry because she was in 6th.
Yeah, and then she actually came out of lunges and into wall balls in 6th. And at that point, to your point, Jack, she was 14 seconds behind Sinead, but she was 23 seconds behind Kat Parnell. And she overtook both of them, beat out Sinead by about 7 seconds, and beat Kat by 11. Very strong close.
And I'm pretty sure when she was talking, when she was interviewed afterwards, that she didn't necessarily realize where she was exactly during wall balls. I mean, that was as close as you can possibly get with 3 different people with that, with a couple different spots for worlds left. So, I mean, just the strength to keep going, like having that hope, thinking that it's a possibility, but you're not quite sure. Just don't put the ball down. Just keep going. Like, so impressive. Really, really awesome.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that, but like, how exciting was that finish? Both women's and men's.
Yeah.
1 and 2 was locked up, but then 3 through 7 was crazy on both sides.
That's where the race was to get the qualifying spots. So I mean, pressure was on, and they all knew that they were close, but they didn't know how close. So just so exciting.
I don't know how Sinead pulled that off.
I know.
Like, she was down 4 wall balls in the 90s and ended up beating Kat by 4 seconds. That was brutal to watch. Like, exciting, but brutal.
Sheer will. I thought that on a whole, Till was a lot better today. So credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say though is he needs to stop calling. He's calling people as being toast way too soon. The obvious ones that comes to mind is he said during the lunges that the top 3 men was wrapped. We'll get to that in a second. Not wrapped. He counted people out on the women's side. Not out. Definitely came back in. I think people we need to stop making assumptions about I think we just take for granted, especially with the women, that so many of them can go unbroken and have gone unbroken consistently. You guys are frozen. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep. Keep talking.
Okay. So, we take for granted that so many women can go unbroken, but if you would have asked any of us if we thought that what happened to Lauren today on the wall balls was going to happen, we would have all said, there's no way. That's not going to happen. Right. And I think that is the great equalizer is 100 wall balls at the end of the race. Right. Like, we've seen it. We've seen people get to 90s and just not be able to finish the last 10. Like, it is not over. To your point, Jack, it is not over until you see go. If you would have asked any of us, if you would have given us that scenario and you would have said Kat Parnell is at 94 and Sinead is at 90, who wins? All of us would say Kat Parnell. That's not
And
the
she
way
dropped
that
it.
it's not the
Yeah.
way that it worked out.
The race
Yeah.
is not to get to wall balls. The race is to finish after wall balls. Like, you can't expect anyone to just have it in the bag if they get to wall balls faster than someone else. It is always chaos. And it's just telling if someone ran their own race and had enough energy at the end, or gave it absolutely everything that they had and risked it all, and it might not have been enough for the last 10 wall balls. And we saw that with a few people today. It's hard. It just is difficult to do. And yeah, it was incredibly dramatic at the end because there were so many people so close, even though they didn't come in that close.
Yeah, today was a reminder for me that these people are humans, not robots, right? Like, it is still a race. Anything can happen, and it was so exciting. So, congrats to Jess Petro. Awesome performance. Excited to see you once again in the Elite 15 at Worlds, where I am sure that you will do great. And then the pick that I made with my heart, the most electrifying performer on the women's side, Sinead Bent, first solo race back from injury with a gritty performance, taking that 5th spot with a 60-31. Crazy that this actually was Sinead's first major. Now, take that with a grain of salt. She did race in
Barcelona.
Chicago because she got in via the LCQ. Correct. But this is actually her second fastest time, right behind her world's time of 60:22 in her first race back. Michelle, Jack, thoughts on Sinead, first race back from injury?
We weren't sure what to expect because she had the injury, right? And she's been vocal about it, and we wanted her to be up there. She placed what, 4th at Worlds, so she definitely is capable of it, and we haven't seen that much of her. So in terms of a consistency standpoint, it seemed like she's been doing great, but we really haven't seen that much of her. So for her to deliver this way, especially knowing that she's probably not at her full capacity yet, I mean, amazing. Really, really awesome performance.
Yeah, I need to go on the bike a little bit more. That's what her performance is showing.
It works. It works.
Yeah. Obviously this is a reaction show, not a training show, but interestingly enough, Anthony Parasini asked Dylan what one of his beliefs were that a lot of people might disagree with, and he said we need to be spending more time on the bike. And I think back to some of the other athletes, like the late Ryan Shadegg, talking about how when he was injured, at the rate he was able to come back and be at a higher level than he was previously, was he just spent months on a bike. Charlie Bottrill, who we'll get to in a second, has a cyclist background and spends hours on the bike every single day. Dylan Scott, who's a top 3 athlete right now, maybe top 2, maybe number 1, spends multiple hours on the bike a day. And Sinead, it definitely, you could tell that she maybe wasn't used to the feeling, right? Like, I mean, it's her first race back, so you got to give her some grace. You could tell that she was a little bit, there were points in the race where it definitely hit her, but she maintained that strong running ability. And so I don't know, maybe we all need to be getting on the bike a hell of a lot more than what we are.
It's certainly like wheels are turning now, because coming from a running background, it's so difficult to not place so much weight on running in your training. But I think we're seeing it time and time again with elite athletes, and even just people that we know that train for this. People get injured and they hop on that bike and their fitness stays, pretty level. So there's something to it.
A lot of people
Hunter bikes
think
a lot
that,
also.
a ton. A lot of people think that that biking is foo-foo work. doing a lot of foo-foo. But look, if doing foo-foo work makes you run like that, I think we should all be doing it.
There was an article that came
Um,
out earlier this week also, Georgia Hunter Bell, who ended up getting a bronze at the Olympics. She's a track runner, and she bikes like 100 miles a week. And she said that was one of the secrets to her success. So
That's
just
cool.
saying.
I didn't know that. Yeah. And she also, I think she got second at Worlds. There was another performance where she continued to rise.
Yeah, she multiple podium, but I know at the Olympics she got
Yeah.
bronze.
Yeah.
So.
it's interesting. Quick tangent, and then we'll get back onto the results. The one difference between my build-up for this fall's races and the previous season's races is I used to teach spin. So I would be on a bike for 3 to 4 hours a week at moderate to high intensity. And I have not been cycling. Probably I gave up cycling or teaching back in January. Just was too hard with the child. And I've not been on a bike all year. And I was way worse in Dallas. So, maybe there's something to it. Maybe there's something to it. We're all going to get on a bike. Everybody put a C2 bike on your Christmas wish list from Santa. It works for the elites. Maybe it'll work for us. Really, really great race by Sinead. And then the other performance that really stuck out to me, and I wish looking back, I was between this person and someone else. I should have bought Kat Parnell's stock. It was low. It is not low anymore. Kat Parnell is on the scene. Jack, I know that you were high on Kat. Give us some thoughts.
I mean, I think Michelle actually was.
I actually got her, but yeah,
I knew she was going to do well, but Michelle.
I know.
Like,
sorry, I knew Michelle. I know Michelle picked her, but I was saying that you were actually upset about it on the show, Jack. You wanted Kat, so we got time for both of you to give your thoughts. We'll go with Michelle since Michelle picked her. Michelle, give us your thoughts on Kat, and then we'll throw it over to Jack.
It's just I feel like there's so much inconsistency with the times that we see from the races that are kind of in the everyday races. And it's so difficult to understand how they relate when it comes to the elite when everyone lines up. And I think there's just an asterisk that, people they'll get once they get into the elite race. There's a confidence level. There's a race strategy. There's more to it once you actually get into the elite race. So Kat's been putting down some awesome times, and she delivered with a performance at the elite level, racing with, a great strategy and placing really close to the top in her first. So yeah, great performance. And I'm glad that I had her on my team.
Yeah, she's an athlete, and I think that athleticism does play a role in having a quick conversion into this sport. Obviously, pure endurance athletes are going to have a little bit of a head start, but you can just tell she moves well. She's confident, and her past race or her past two races, Birmingham and Dublin, she like her trend line was down in terms of finishing time, which is great, which shows she's only been in the sport for like a year realistically, but every single race has been progressing. So if she just cleaned up her wall balls, I feel like it's kind of a given that she's going to end up in the Elite 15 at Sweden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she finished that race, that battle for fifth was very exciting, but there was a minute gap between her and the field. So, I mean, awesome job. Any other thoughts on the women's before we need to move over to the men?
I just have a stat for you. 107.21 won a world championship 3 years ago in the women's field. And this race, 104.24 took dead last. I know not all things are equal, but the depth in the women's sport over the past couple of years, it's just ridiculous how much it's improved.
It's just getting much more exciting to watch as well. Things are getting closer and closer. So yeah, it's been more and more exciting each time that we get to watch a major.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time not too long ago where you could put some combination of Lauren, Meg, Linda on the podium, and you were going to be right. And despite the fact that she's a world champ, it's not even a guarantee that Linda's in contention for a podium spot these days, which is not a knock against Linda. Actually just speaks to the depth of the field. You know, Lauren talked about that before the race. She doesn't ever take it for granted anymore because the field is closing and they're closing quickly. You know, like you look at someone like Lucy Proctor at the 60.02, she's 22. Lucy's going to be a sub 60 racer. She very well may wind up being a sub 59 racer.
She was what, 4 seconds away?
2.
Yeah.
60.02.
Yeah, I mean, so the women's field is deep. It really is, and I cannot wait until Meg gets back involved, and then we start to see carnage, because that's when the real racing happens. Is whenever it's, you know, you could have multiple people blowing up or pushing each other on. So it'll be
live.
You get some nasty sleds. This women's field's in trouble once Meg gets back.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, on to the dudes. Your number one finisher and champion, the German Tim Weinisch, 54.09. Hunter McIntyre, 54.15. Charlie Bottrell, 55.29. Sean Noble, 55.37. Josh Van Zeeland, 55.38. Cole Learn, 55.43. Alan Plow, 55.53. Liam McCrory, 55.53. Bo Wills, 55.58. Jonathan Wynn, 56.21. Jake Dearden, 56.28. James Kelly, 57.09. Martin Enthoven, 57.55. And Mark Dean, 58.06. Similarly to how we are asked if it is now Joanna is the top dog, I know we just did power rankings, and I think maybe we did them a little bit prematurely. Is it fair to say that Tim is now the top dog in a very close field? We might be talking 1A, 1B, and 1C. Is Tim Weinisch the top dog on the men's side?
He's given everyone a run for their money time and time again.
Reigning world champ, just won the most recent major in a race where Hunter, a lot of people I think might think he's offending everybody. He's like, the only person that I'm really worried about is Tim. Everyone else is just kind of here. And that was kind of how the race turned out, but Tim got his number. So yeah, I do agree. He's got to be the number one at the moment.
His last 5 solo races: 54.31, 53.53, 55.10, 54.21, 54.09. Tim is solidly a sub 55 guy.
He looks just impressive on the runs. I mean, it's just evident that it's like effortless for him out there. He can just run so fast and so smooth. That's why he's so great, really. And his station work is like, it's not that far off either. I mean, just all around. I think it's a constant, like, I don't know why it's a shock, but he's just cementing himself as the best right now.
I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I think he's also winning the mental battle at the moment with how he finished the race on wall balls. What do you guys want to talk about that yet, or do you want to?
No, we'll get there. Because I think that there's some things. I think that there are some things that that played into this. My hot take.
We all do, Marcus.
Yeah, agreed.
My hot take on this, and this is might get the chat fired up, and I'm going to wind up getting clipped for this. Tim won. Hunter ran the better race. Because Hunter lost because he got a 15-second penalty for toes on the line on the sled pull twice, which I want to be very clear. Rules are rules. The rule book states you cannot touch the front line. Hunter touched it twice. He got a warning. He did it again. The rule was correctly applied. That's what I want to see happen. Whether I agree with the rules or not, those are the rules. Right, wrong, indifferent. One thing that I did think was interesting, I noticed this too. Tyler just put this in the chat. My issue with that is that you could also tell that Tim was hitting the back line and he was not called for it. It did not seem like they had the judges there. I also just think, again, rules are rules and it is what it is. I don't know that his toenails, which is effectively what it was, touching the front line constitutes a distinct advantage. Again, the rules are the rules. I mean, and I get it. They do it on, they make it so that you don't do it, but I think 15 seconds is a little harsh. I also thought that it was interesting that the head judge was the one who called Hunter back on the burpees. I pulled it back multiple times. He cleared the line with his left foot. His back heel touched the white line, but it was over. I mean, he definitely broke the plane. It wasn't like he landed in the burpee box. I think that's a very tough call for a head judge, especially when his judge in the lane sent him on. I bring that up to say he got a 15-second penalty. The burpees cost him 6 seconds, and he was done when, what was Tim at, like 92? Like he caught Tim. He came in after Tim.
He had 6 reps in 15 seconds to do. And then Tim basically looked over and was like, ha, I've got you. And he knew that he would finish those and basically walk over the line with a couple seconds to spare.
Right. But my point is that, you know, obviously Tim doesn't have that ability if there's not a 15-second penalty, which was rightly applied. And then there was also they pulled Hunter back in the burpees. That's the difference in, Hunter winning versus not. So I guess my point is Tim is the winner, but if you're Hunter, you have got to feel good about how this race went.
Hunter had several moments of race brain. We went over those two. And then he also, on the farmer's carry, he didn't know where to put him back. He screwed that up. Oh, Hunter got there we go.
Yeah,
exactly, Patrick.
I was going to say,
sure, yeah, he ran right past the drop-off point on the farmer carry.
Yeah. And just one other thing, Michelle, real quick. So we're talking about toes on the line for sled pull. He got called back for his not jumping far enough on burpee broad jumps. But honestly, a lot of those burpee broad jumps, you're in a 1 meter box. He was falling half a meter ahead. He was getting away with a little bit extra distance than I feel like I would in a race. And if that was Rich, he'd be stuck at the start of that thing, getting called back every single rep, it seemed.
I was going to say, like, in certain regard, Hunter had a better race because his stations were like super impressive, but in terms of the race brain or not paying attention to the small details, that did cost him. And so when you're at the elite level and the judges are watching you like a hawk, you can't be too close to the lines. You have to anticipate those things, because especially with angles too, like, even the eye, it can be deceiving. Even if you are past the line, it could look not like it or too close. So you just got to anticipate that now at this level, because they're going to catch you for every single thing. And if you take a little bit farther of a jump, or if you pull that sled just a couple extra inches just to make sure for sure that it's there, it's not going to cost you 10, 15 seconds every single time. So unfortunately, with these things that are so specific and the station work, that stuff does cost you. So if I were him, I would look at those things and try to correct those so you don't lose like the 25 seconds or so. Because to your point, he had a better race station wise. He kept making up all that time on Tim, and his runs were just as impressive. So he should have won that race, but the race brain unfortunately got him.
Yeah, he stationed Tim by 25 seconds. Tim outran him by 24. So without the penalty, Hunter beats him by, whatever it was, 2 seconds.
And his stations the stations were better than that, because he had the extra time, because he had to go back several times.
Right. 100%. This is where it is. This is where the fine, this is what Noel Radigan said, but this is where the fine details matter. I mean, even you go back to the last time they raced each other at Worlds, Hunter blames the fact that he wore gloves that were soaked and he couldn't get, he couldn't get a proper pull. And that's what we're talking. That's why I think High Rocks is so exciting right now, is it's razor, like the fitness is pretty even across the field, right? Like, I don't know that we're going to, at least in this current class of runners, I think we're a few years away before we see anybody really break below that 53. But every race is going to come down to those small moments. And I think that although I think Hunter showed a lot today in the sense of we've seen him lose his cool before or just kind of throw it in whenever he gets these penalties. The only moment of frustration was when he grabbed the pole on the pull and pulled it across the line. Other than that, he stayed pretty composed. But on the flip side of that, you look at Tim. I think you're right. I think Tim stayed composed too, and Tim did exactly what he needed to do to hold him off. And I just think what is so exciting about watching Tim right now is last year we kept talking about how every race he would take it out at this pace and he would make it a little bit further. He'd make it a little bit further and he'd make it a little bit further. And now he basically can hold it the whole way. Like, I went through those last 5 results. He's solidly in the 54s.
Just to go back to Hunter real quick, we were talking about how Lauren has specific stations she needs to fix. Hunter, it's just details. Just tiny little, make sure your footwork is good.
Precision.
That's the only difference with him. So he's got to be confident that in his mind he ran a better race going forward. This is the world champ. Here's the guy he's most focused on beating. Obviously, Alex, Dylan, a couple others can be right there in the same conversation. But right now, Hunter's got to be feeling real good about where his fitness is, especially earlier in the season.
Yeah, I mean, this is his first race of the season. This is what, Tim's 4th. And so, I think it could go either. I mean, if I'm Tim, I feel really good because I know that I'm living rent free in his head. If I'm Hunter, I feel really good because I know that, I'm right there. It's a couple small tweaks. It's going to be exciting. And I think that, Dylan's not in this race. Ronk's not in this race. I don't know that there is if I was going to do power rankings right now, I'd put Tim at the top. But if you ask me to pick a winner, those 4 line up in a race. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. And if you pick a podium, I don't know how you pick it either. I'd probably lean Tim. And that'd probably be my only lock right now. Maybe Dylan. Hard to say. But it's very, very exciting.
I love the rivalry between them also. Do you hear during the interviews after, like they were just chirping at each other and Tim's like, hey, get in my training program. I'll show you what a white line looks like. It was like, that was a good line.
Yeah, it's funny because they're buddies. We're sure to see them drinking beers together when they're done when they're done with the weekend. And also shout out Tim. Tim is for the boys. I don't know if you catch his interview, but she asked him how he wanted, or she asked him about going for the other majors, and he was like, "Oh, first I'd like to take some time and hang out with the lads, have some drinks." Tim's for the boys.
He gave a shout out to someone else in the race specifically.
Yes.
Oh, I missed it.
It's
Charlie
a good
Bottrell.
Segue. Number 3.
Come on, Matt. I led you into that.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that piece of it.
I got it.
Yeah.
I'm always for the heartfelt stuff. And
Michelle, give a little recap on what I just
talked. No, I mean, Lauren was interviewing Tim, and he I don't know if he took it out, but he basically was like, I want to give a major shout out to Charlie because it was an epic performance from him. And I'm so happy that he was able to deliver that performance today.
He said that he thought that Charlie had the race of the day.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it was amazing.
Hard to argue.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard to argue. Look, that rent might come due. Today wasn't that day.
Nope.
Today was not that day. It was a very strong race for Charlie. He was in 9th out of burpees. And more specifically, he was 31 seconds back of a podium spot. And he crawled his way back in. He was 6th out of row. He was 5th out of farmers. And then he lunged like a man possessed. I'm pretty sure that he finished with the top lunges Let me just double check.
It was like well over 15 seconds faster. They had him in the highlighted box, and then everyone else's time was after
Yeah,
that.
it wound up being 3:08. He outlunged Tim and Hunter by 20 seconds.
Oh my God.
Which was crazy. And then, you got to give it to him. Again, this is why we say you have to race until you see go. He came into wall balls fourth, almost 45 seconds behind Josh Van Zeeland. And we'll get to this in a second. Josh had probably 25, 30 no reps, gave it all he had on the day, and it wasn't there. But credit where credit's due. Charlie just kept going and plugging. And he wound up actually overtaking Josh. And Sean Noble made a mad dash for the end as well.
Yeah.
It made it way closer than I thought it was going to be, but Charlie did just enough to hang on and finish with that third place spot.
His emotions over the finish line was just epic too. Like, he just was so shocked, so deserving of that moment because he fought for it. Just amazing.
Yeah, it's cool to see. I don't know if you guys saw this, but last night he made a post about how 2 years ago for a university project, he had interviewed John Wynn and Hunter McIntyre, and now he was getting to line up against the two of them. And it's just crazy. It's good to see. And all I'm saying is a big bike guy. A big bike guy. We all got to get on the bike.
Something to it.
I think it's fascinating also. Hunter McIntyre, just like me, born 1989. Charlie Bottrell was like 2001. I'm sure that Lucy and Joanna are probably early 2000s also. Just the age ranges, we're finally having a little bit of parity, because for a while it was like, are you early to mid 30s? That's all that exists. Right now, we've got a nice spread throughout the field. Josh is a young guy also. Tim, maybe 26.
He made that post afterwards, like his immediate thoughts, and he said he was walking with Hunter. No disrespect to Charlie. He looked like he could be Hunter's son. Hunter looked like he could be his dad. But I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome to see. Also, I don't know if you all caught this. Till mentioned on the live that they've teased a new qualification system for the Elite 15 athletes that involves more racing. If there's more racing, that's good for Charlie.
Yeah.
I think he should do the same racing, not more racing.
I don't know.
Because that's definitely more than most. But yeah.
Really, really strong performance. And he actually, he's still got some meat on that bone. 408 wall balls, which was enough on the day, but you got to think that's, he's young and something he could work on. He gets that down, that 330 range. All I'm saying is he's a sub 55 guy.
Not bad. Placing on the podium and getting your world spot, your first major.
And in fourth place, Sean Noble also, like, I know that's fourth place. Obviously, top three is all that mattered, but we've seen people get hurt, and I feel like fourth place matters a ton. I don't know who gets priority at that point. Like, what race do you just fill in for the person who was third in your race if there's a roll down, or would they give it to fourth place in a different race?
I think it's like a race closer to I don't know if they're going to go as far back as these majors. But truthfully, I don't know what it will be. But either way, if we're transitioning to Sean Noble, I wasn't sure how it was going to play out, seeing him taking the first run into the ski, but man, he held on and he delivered a really great race. So another impressive performance from him. I was happy to see that he was able to pull that off and sneak into fourth at the very last minute.
Yeah, I made a couple notes on Sean. He surged in run one, and he kept surging, and it almost felt like he ran out of gas, but it's hard to say that because then he came into wall balls a whole minute and 15 behind Josh and 33 seconds behind Charlie, and he only finished 8 seconds behind Charlie. He had a 344 wall ball. So I love watching guys stick their nose in it. And you know what? Respect to Sean. Sean is going to put his nose in it. And so that's another guy that I feel like he's going to, it'd be hard to bet against him getting into the Elite 15 at some point with one of these races.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had that brutal dive across the line with Tomasz last year, and now 4th place there. He's right on the razor's edge. It's going to work for him one of these days.
Yeah,
for sure. 100%. And then we do have to talk about Josh Van Zeeland, his debut race in the Elite 15, a very respectable 55:38. That is his 3rd fastest time of all time. Couldn't really tell what he was getting no repped for because they had the camera on the Tim and Hunter kind of saga, and then it was on Charlie. So not really sure what was going on. I don't know. It's easy. Again, this is me being an armchair quarterback. So, Josh, if you watch this, I'm just asking the question, generally speaking. Like, at what point, when you've got that big of a gap, do you just take a second and collect yourself instead of just letting the wall balls rack up? I think we saw this with, who was the woman last year that this happened to? Was it Sinead, Jack?
In wall balls?
Yeah, there was a couple of races last year where in wall balls there was a woman who was just like racking up like 20 or 30 no reps, and we had the conversation of like, hey, at what point do you just like take a breather, ask what's going wrong, and then reset?
Because I really don't remember off the top of my head.
I think Sean Noble had that with like a race, not an elite race. I feel like there was some.
Yeah, Sean had that this fall where he then wound up having a DNF.
We sort of had that with Sandy where he was like, you know, in his own head in the wall balls.
Either way, like it's happened to people before where they've had like 20 plus wall balls, like no reps.
So you got it. And that's something that it feels like it's not going to happen again. So my takeaway from Josh Van Zeeland is we had pegged him as someone to watch out for and potential rookie of the year, or newcomer of the year. I feel like that's a pretty safe bet.
I mean, he delivered today. Like he looked so, I mean, even through the lunges, he looked so strong. I mean, we all wanted to see the newcomers do well in their first elite race, and so many of them did that. And Josh was one of them. Like he had a great race. It just like wall balls again is just unpredictable sometimes. And truthfully, I don't like, from what I saw of him, it didn't look like he was losing like strength or something. Like he looked okay in the wall balls. So I would be curious to know what happened there and why there were so many no reps.
Yeah. It's hard to say, like Michelle said, because we don't know. He's firmly in for Phoenix if he wants to come over. 55:09. I say firmly in, and we could get a wildly fast course coming up. So who knows?
Cutoffs are coming though.
But
he's Anaheim happening today.
Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, well, if Anaheim winds up being a fast course, then
I don't know about that.
It won't be. It won't be. But if it does,
that run course looks ridiculous.
Well, with Josh. With Josh, back to him, 55 out of 55 and a half minutes of this race, he was the 3rd best athlete. Like, for sure. Incredible debut. Obviously, Charlie, Sean, they closed at the line, as you know, you'd expect with a spot on the line. But Josh, get him in another major, he could be fighting for the podium also, and especially now that you've got 6 spots up, you're probably going to have at least 5th or 6th place be a roll down spot in the future. No reason he can't do that.
Yep. If there's 2 people outside of Charlie Bottrell that I'm buying stock in them after today, it is Josh Van Zeeland and the Canadian Cole Learn. Another very impressive race. He actually fought his way back into that 6th place finish. He was back in 9th or 10th for a while. Dropped that 55 mid, and you know, Cole has, a lot of these guys have raced a lot, but Cole has traveled a lot and raced a lot this fall. I mean, he did Boston, which is relatively close for him, but then he went Atlanta. He did Chicago just 3 weeks ago. Got into Melbourne late, made the trip, put himself out there in his first race, 55:40, whatever it was, 55:43 in your elite debut. Not bad for Cole Learn.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's a success for your first round through. And to say like all of the US races are not that close either. So the amount of travel that he's done, the amount of racing that he's done at such a high level, yeah, again, like another one we weren't sure how it was going to play out because of all of that racing, but he did great. I think that this was a great performance from him, and I would say no doubt he would be up there at the next major as well, fighting for one of those spots.
Assuming he is in Phoenix, which I imagine he'll take a spot if it's offered to him for that next major. He's got the jitters out of the way. I don't know if he was nervous realistically, but like your first major, that's you've got to be feeling a little nervous on that. Now he knows, hey, a bunch of these guys are probably gonna be in the race as well. I've beaten 8 of them or 9 because you had a DNF, but he's got to be feeling confident and to be on home soil. So yeah, great learning experience for Cole.
Sean, Cole,
No one got
Josh, and
that, pun intended. Never
No,
mind.
I got it. I got it. Sean, Cole, Josh, and Charlie are all in for Phoenix as of today, and they're all going to they all travel. So if they're willing to go to Melbourne, I would be hard pressed to imagine that they wouldn't go to Phoenix. So it's going to be a great race. And in that race, you likely won't have to be top 3 because we know Dylan's going to be there for sure. So that's one spot. I would imagine that Tim would come. He came to Vegas. I don't see why he wouldn't come to Phoenix, and he seems to like to party. I would think Hunter would race, although who knows?
Hunter said that he was going to do one more singles and one more double, and then just kind of go all in training.
Yeah, so we'll see, but there should be some spots. So I think that we will see these folks again. Any other performances on the men's side that we want to touch on?
There were just a lot of new names who did really well in their debuts. Some of the athletes, James Kelly, John Wynn, Jake Dearden, Bo Wills. I was honestly surprised that they were losing to guys like Charlie, Josh, Cole, Alan, Liam, like all of whom had amazing debut performances. So we thought that experience and closeness to where you sleep at night would make a difference, but apparently it didn't on the men's side.
Yeah, I think it just goes to, I think if nothing else, it just shows how deep the fields are on both the men's and the women's side these days. I mean, it's just these new guys. Also, this is my argument. Let more than 15 in. Let more than 15 in. Some of these dudes were deep roll downs and they're getting top 5, top 6 finishes. Let them in, High Rocks. Let the boys in.
We'll see how it goes with I was gonna say we'll see how it goes with the new system next year, but I think they're realizing that this might not be the best. It's just tough.
If they've got enough equipment for 50 people per wave throughout the weekend, sending them off 10 minutes at a time, why not do top 50? Why not elite 50 instead of elite 15?
It's not as exciting when you have 50 names to cover.
I know, but we're seeing people like Cole Learn step in, and it's like, what about the others from North America who don't get a chance? Like maybe the ones who are finishing close to him could do well.
I was gonna say the regional races is a cool idea too, so I'm excited to see how those play out because that does cater to the people who are struggling to make it in but are just as good. So that is something to look forward to.
Yeah, it's these races just keep getting better and better. The production from High Rocks keeps getting better and better. The venues, the new thing that like the finish line that they cross with the big white winner, that is sick. It is getting so cool. I don't know, some of the small details like today, I don't know if you all noticed this, but in the venue it said the road to Stockholm, and then on the right of it it said chapter 2 down under. Like it's compelling. Like it's compelling stuff, and that's what we want to watch. And I guess I'll just finish up by saying I've never been happier to have a worse draft performance in my life because these races are living up to the hype. And I just think that makes it fun. If you think that you don't know. You don't know. So, yeah, Marcus, I agree. I thought that Jane on the mic was great.
She helped me with my ergs today in my workout. I'm trying new cadence and all of that because You just got to hear from the experts sometimes, and it works. It was cool. It was cool to have that knowledge. That's what you want to hear on the live stream.
Yeah. My takeaways from today: the future is now. Machines make monsters. And I'm going to get my C2 bike out of storage right after this, and I am putting it in my living room. And I am just going to, if you ever wonder what Matt Mason's up to, not that anyone on this show would, I'm biking.
All right.
Tickling some pedals.
We're here for it.
Michelle, Jack, any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
Can't wait for Phoenix. We'll be there.
All of us.
We will be there. If you see us in Phoenix, come say what's up. And next week on the show, we have, hopefully, they're kind of non-committal, your favorite doubles duo and mine, Raw Debo, coming on to talk about the other Elite 15 race happening this weekend, doubles, which will be happening at the same time tonight. So I will not be watching it live. I'll definitely be catching it tomorrow. But we'll have Dawson and Marcus on to talk about that. And then we got to get that top 5 scheduled. I imagine we got some shifting in the rankings. It's going to be exciting. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple. Go ahead and give us a like on YouTube. And if you would be so kind, subscribe to The Drop. Marcus Wallace has been cooking. And if you're a Gmail user like me, check your promos. It keeps getting flagged in promos, even though I tell Google not to.
Same thing.
Yeah, make sure that you check that. But we're cooking. We're creating all kinds of content. So, Michelle, Jack, pleasure as always. For all of you that tuned in, we appreciate you. We out.